Hey everybody, it's Jason O over at Paydirt DFS. Um, really excited to get into the NFL season, and I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to have James, want to partner with me and get some content out for everybody. I'm excited for the opportunity. I love this community, and I can't wait for NFL. I think we're going to have a killer season. We had such a good MLB year, and it's not over yet. The screenshots keep coming in, and going into this year, we just thought it was a really good idea to throw some more NFL content out there. We have a lot of new people in the Discord this year, people who are here for their first season, and this is going to be their first NFL season with us. So we want to go over just a few different things. Number one, we want to go over the different type of contests you could play. I'm going to be putting out more of these videos, and we're going to cover the type of contests you could play along with the strategy that you can employ to try and win and be profitable. The first video that we're going to put out today is all about cash games. We're going to put out another video about small entry, single entry and small field contest, 3 entry max. And then we're going to do a larger field MME video as well, 20 max, 150 max. And we're going to go over different strategies and everything you need to do to be successful. On top of that, you're going to see weekly videos from me where we're going to be breaking down every single Sunday main slate, just like those videos that James used to put out for the people that have been here for a while on Friday nights, Saturday mornings. I'm going to help out and put those out too. You expect a fresh video from me every Friday night, and I'm excited. So, first and foremost, let's dive into it. So, James has most of the models set up. Just like MLB, he also has a lot of the same models for the NFL. He's got research sheets for the NFL. Um, he's got projections, ADP ranks for your season long, your season long lovers, your NFL range of outcomes, which are similar to the MLB. Contest simulations, those are not up yet, but they will be. A pivot finder, which is going to come in very handy, especially when playing cash games, which we'll go over. We have a DFS stack finder, and the stack finder is going to help you, just like you find you have the stack finder for MLB to help you find the value stack with whatever contest, however many people you want in the stack. You can do the same thing here. And then we have, NFL betting models, and we have showdown content as well. And as you guys all know, James is one of the best showdown NFL players really in the industry. So you can't learn from anybody better, I promise you. So first and foremost, just wanted to highlight some of the research sheets and see how you can use them to your advantage. These research sheets are really powerful, and reason being is we have team totals for the week. We have a passing touchdown expectation, a rushing touchdown expectation. You have some other expectations here too, like 2-point conversions, extra points, field goals, but we don't really care about that. We have a dropbacks expectation, a dropback percentage, a pass percentage versus a design rush percentage, so you can see which teams are rushing more than passing and vice versa. And also you have total game TDs. You have game totals here too. So if you want to bet something, this is something great you can use. Also weekly, I don't know if he has this set up yet, but he is going to have usage set up for each individual position. So weekly, you're going to see which running backs and wide receivers, tight ends are being utilized at maybe a higher clip than you realize, or they're even less than you'd realize. You're going to have right here player snap percentage, how many of the rushing attempts they're getting, how many routes they're running, their target share, their targets per route run. You're going to see also their inside the 5 rush. This is very important, especially when we're all going to be fucking tilting when the Baltimore Ravens get on the goal line with I don't know, Derrick Henry, and they decide to, like, oh, we're going to give it to Justice Hill, or we're going to let Lamar sneak it in, or conversely, we're going to give it off to Derrick Henry and you need Lamar to run it in. We're going to deal with all that shit. It's going to be interesting. Give this about a month to stabilize, and you're going to see some really unique trends. We also have some expected PPR points versus their actual PPR. I kind of equate this to the expected home runs versus actual home runs, and we actually have a utilization rank when you sort from high to low. You'll see really quickly who is being utilized as a top back in the league. So obviously, you can tell when we sort this by, the top guys, it's the top fantasy running backs, and this is still set to looks like to some of the playoffs last year. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, they crushed it towards the end of the year. Zach Moss when Jonathan Taylor was out. So you're going to see how this all coincides. Also, we have our range of outcomes just like we did in MLB. We have it sorted by team stack range of outcomes. This is one of my favorite sheets in the entire industry right here, because not only does he give you the stack that, has the highest team totals, has the highest salaries, floor, median, ceiling. He has a top finish, a top 10 finish, top five. He has a 60 plus, meaning 20 points or more from each of your guys combined. And then he has 3x columns and 4x columns where you can pick the highest value stacks based on their pricing. He's also going to have the ownership here, and he's going to give it a leverage score. So you can see how over-owned or under-owned a stack is. Very, very important. Um, Especially, too, when you're looking at the overall range of outcomes. This is how you can help really build your stack. When you're playing cash games, you're not as concerned with stacking, so I'm not going to go into that too much. But just like we have for individual teams, we have individual players. We have the medians, we have the ceilings, we have a top finish, 20x, 2x, 3x, 4x, ownership, the leverage on them, and that's overall. You have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So to go over really quickly as a reminder for those who may be new to NFL DFS, for those who have been playing this for a long time, don't mind me. I just want to make sure if there's any new people watching that they have a full understanding of roster construction. So here on DraftKings, you play with one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and a defense. There's no kicker. The flex could be any of a running back, wide receiver, tight end, one quarterback, and everybody has a price, just like every other sport. The whole idea of cash games is you want to really take on as little risk as possible, and you maybe might make one pivot in your lineup, and it's not a big pivot, in order to propel you past somebody. So before we get into how the lineups actually look themselves and go into what you use to help build, I also want to highlight the different types of contests that there are that are considered cash games. So first and foremost, we're going to set this to classic, and this is the Sunday slate of the opening weekend. So here, these contest types, you have head-to-heads, which will tell you here you select by entry fee. You can enter here, you're playing against one person. This is a peer-to-peer contest with one other person. Your goal is to have a lineup that is good enough to beat one other person. For most people, if you are looking to play cash games, this is going to be your best friend, and you should be playing at the lowest dollar amount that you can. The reason being, the biggest sharks in the industry, people that are, the pros that play, five figures every weekend, they are not allowed to play in contests that are at a certain level. If you come to Paydirt and your goal is to become a better player, by you playing at the lower dollar amounts, you should have some expected ROI, and you should have plus EV lineups made, because you are playing against worser competition at the lowest dollars. If I'm just spitballing here, this is not strategy that you should follow. Newsflash: this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But if I was a player starting out, and let's say I had $100 that I wanted to play, every single weekend, and I knew that I wanted to put 50% of my volume into cash games, I would be trying to get all $50 of that 100 down on the cheapest and lowest entry fee head-to-heads that I could find. That's what I'd be doing. It gives you a floor. That's really why people play these games. Is the payoff is not big. You pay a little vig to DraftKings, but you can go, 1.8x on your money, maybe. So it's one of those things that people play these games in order to give themselves a floor, and they play tournaments for the upside. So very important here. You want to live in this head-to-head lobby if you are going to be playing cash games. Some other games that are also considered cash games are 50-50s, double ups, and also some of the multipliers. First, the 50-50s and double ups. When you are playing in a 50-50 or a double up, the goal itself is again not to build a lineup to win, but you are looking to come in roughly the top 45% of your lineup. It's very important to understand that when you're building cash game lineups, you are not trying to build the best lineup you can that can come in first in a contest. You want to care about your floor. You want to worry about your floor. Upside is secondary. You will see, though, as you start building tournaments, a lot of your cash game plays are going to be the base for your tournament lineup. But it's very, very important that you live again in the lowest dollar of the lobby here that you can. Um, Personally, I think these are a little bit more riskier than actual head to heads because there's more people out there in a field that can beat you. But all you have to do is get across a certain cash line and you will make money, and you could double up your money here. So you have a better ROI, but it's a little riskier. By the way, people may look and see what are these things that are these margin number, what this pays, the prize pool. This is actually an extension from Roto Grinders. I highly recommend that everybody looks at it and everybody downloads it. It will show you every single contest, what the margin is for you to make money, what the overlay is. So if the contest is close to locking and it's not filled, how much money is DraftKings going to be putting into the pot? That's what overlay is. Very, very it's a must for me. This is how I select a lot of my tournament contests too. Um, but just to go back to this. So a 50-50. 50-50 is very simple. The top 50% of people win. You come in the top 50, you make money. You don't double your money, but you do pay, you do get you have a little 5% margin there. It's not great. It's not fantastic, but it does have you you have to come in the top 50% of the field. So it's a little less risky than a double up. A double up, the trade-off of you playing a contest where maybe only 43, 44%, 45% of the contest makes money, you do get a higher ROI for taking on that risk. So more you could there's always a method to this madness that people like to take. I cannot stress this enough. You want to live at the lowest dollar amount you can. So you'll see here in these double ups, you have people here that are maxing these out, and that's okay. I'm looking at these right now, and some names I recognize, but I don't see any pros in there. As opposed to if I want to be playing a $100 double up, BRK Nets, pretty well known name in the lobby. This $100 double up, Get Loose, Sports Fanatic, Coleman, BKR Nets. There he is again. Forsman 77. These are all guys that have Pimple Pop. I haven't seen that name in a while. These are all guys or women who have been in these NFL streets for a very long time. You want to play at the lowest dollar amount you can. I cannot stress that enough. For multiplier contests, these can be pretty fruitful. And these are, definitely a little bit more enticing. This is when you have a chance to actually triple up your money, or it could be something like a 10x booster where you're playing in a small tournament and the top 10 win a prize. It could be the top 5 win a prize. You all win the same prize. The overarching theme, though, with head-to-heads, 50-50s, double-ups, multipliers, you are not building a lineup with the purpose of coming in first place. And if that's your goal, you should go and play tournaments if you really want to try and go for first. This is all about mitigating your risk and playing more of a less volatile style of DFS. So, now that we've talked about all those contests, let's go take a look now at God damn it. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, let's pull up a head-to-head contest so that way you can see we'll even use the practice one. So this is a free one. This is for the slate on 9/8, the main slate. So you have your player pool here. The first thing that I always do whenever I, play, on Sunday and I want to start building lineups, number one thing I always do is I want to take a look at team stacks, even if I'm building for a cash game. The reason why I think there's some value here is you get an idea about team totals. You can look at ownership. For cash games, you want to accept ownership. you want to decrease volatility. You want to take on ownership, especially when you think it's good chalk. Most of these contests that you're going to see, especially when you work your way up into a higher dollar sort of realm, you're going to have, guys that need like a 1v1 or a 2v2. That's the difference maker between them winning and losing. So we'll talk about those pivots. But I start here. I want to get a feel for that. I want to get a feel for salary, who's expensive, who's not. The name of the game is value. First and foremost, it's value. So you go position by position. The first thing I would do is I would look at the 20 plus percentage. Take a look and see. This is important because you look at this, and just to tell you how a cash game mindset works, you have Josh Allen at 8K with a median of 22.48. He's got a ceiling of 28.78. Dak Prescott for 900 less has about a little more than 2.5 points less in median. Joe Burrow, who's 600 less, roughly has the same median as Dak Prescott. So if I'm starting from a cash game build, I'm automatically thinking that Joe Burrow is a better play than Dak Prescott. But look at this guy, Jaden Daniels, 5,700, median right around Joe Burrow's, ceiling right around Joe Burrow's and Dak Prescott's. He's 5,700. He's the fourth most likely player to score 20 plus or more fantasy points. The 2x percentage, shout out to my guy Pablo. This is something him and I love on the DFS MLB sheets that we have. 2x percentage for quarterbacks, not as valuable here because they typically all can throw a touchdown or two. They can run one in and then they blow the score. They don't blow the score out of the water, but they can double up rather easily. But the highest one here, Jaden Daniels, 91.4%. 3x percentage, Jaden Daniels, 58%. So we're saying right now that Jaden Daniels has the highest chance out of every quarterback on the Sunday slate to 3x his salary, which puts him at a little below 18, right below his median when he 3x's. 4x him too. Something else very interesting that I wanted to just point out. When you look at this right here and you see that they have these medians versus their salary, I don't know how many people here are math people. I'm a pretty big math person. I try to use it to find value in this and also just things in general, in life. But if you look at this, Josh Allen at 22.48 median, that median at 8,000, his median is about it's a little under 3x his salary, right? So that's pretty good. That's really, really good. But you take a look at a guy like Jaden Daniels, his median is well over 3x his salary. He's actually, he's best value on the board, right? So right away what I'm thinking, and also too, if we want to look at ownership, ownership has him right now as the 10th, he's got close to 10%. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the fifth highest. Honestly, these numbers are going to change, but he has enough ownership here where I'd say, okay, people think he's a good play. Not only is he the best value, he's going to be a linchpin in my lineup. If I'm playing cash games, the first thing I'm doing is locking in Jaden Daniels. He's got the rushing upside. All you hear about in camp is that he likes to run. You still have Terry McLaurin. They have some weapons there. They're pretty high on him. I think he's the way to go. When I look at the running back spot, this is when you start getting to some of the other positions. This is where it could start getting a little confusing of where I really land. And honestly, this is probably where you're going to find more of your pivots for running backs and wide receivers, especially wide receivers, which we'll get into. But same thing here. If we look median, sort by median score, you see that Bijan Robinson has the highest median at 16.74. Jonathan Taylor is next, the same price. Median's way less than Bijan. Right away in a cash game setting, I'm going Bijan over Jonathan Taylor. That bar none. As you start going down, you start to see Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, Rashad White, Devon Achane. And, week one, you're going to see that nobody's really in that 8K range. DraftKings makes it a little tougher that way. We go to the 20 plus percentage. Bijan, most likely by a country mile to score 20 points or more. The 2x percentage, Bijan, Rashad White, Joe Mixon. When you start getting into the running backs, I think the 2x percentage becomes a little bit more valuable. You're looking for a floor here. You're not looking for a ceiling. So if I see that a guy at 7,700 is the most likely running back to 2x his salary or eclipse that, I'm going to have interest in cash games. I'm also going to have interest in Rashad White. Um, Most tournament players, you're going to see them take a stab on some lower running backs sometimes, like a Chase Brown, for instance. Um, the only time you're going to see cheap running backs in cash games is if their starting in front of them is out and they're going to walk into a gigantic workload, which we definitely will see a lot this season. Um, 3x, yep, it's Bijan, Rashad White. 4x minimal here because none of these guys look like they're going to pop that much. And highest owned, it's Gus Edwards and then Bijan Robinson. This median right here, Gus Edwards, this is almost a 1-to-1 median. He's not who you play. I'd start with Bijan Robinson. 100%. He's got the highest floor, most likely to hit his numbers. 100%. We can pick another running back, but let's take a look at wide receivers first. So wide receivers, this is where, I believe most tournaments are really won and lost. And I think this is maybe where most cash games kind of go overlooked. I think this is probably the place you can pivot if you are going to look to pivot. Here's what I mean. Wide receivers, just like batters in baseball, they all have the same floor. I know we have projected floors here, but realistically, they all have a floor of 0. They do not score any points unless their quarterback throws them the ball. They need catches. Some guys have run plays that are design runs and whatnot, but it is not something that you should always bank on. For the purpose of cash games, we want to lean into ownership more. For tournaments, though, this is where you want to pivot. So first and foremost, we sort by median. We see here CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. CeeDee Lamb and Hill are, quite ahead of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And then Jamar Chase is ahead of Drake London and Malik Neighbors. But here's the interesting thing. When I go sort by 20 plus percentage, basically the same, right? Watch what happens when I go to 2x. Look at this. Malik Neighbors, number 1 to 2x. Led McConkey, second to 2x. Drake London, third to 2x. Those guys also have some of the top medians. I'm looking at ownership. I want to take on the volatility. You also have Josh Reynolds here. I know that ownership's not right, but it serves the purpose. So if I'm starting here really quickly, I'm going to go and I'm probably going to throw in Malik Neighbors and Drake London just because they're cheap. We'll go over where we could pivot after, but I think this is a good starting point to really figure out that these are value targets. These are value options. Let's go down to tight end. Tight end. You want to grab the, same thing, the biggest median you can for the lowest, for the value salary you could find. So Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts. 20 percentile, Trey McBride. Highest 2x percentage is Kyle Pitts. 3x here, Kyle Pitts, Theo Johnson. 4x, it's Kyle Pitts, Theo Johnson. Doesn't get much different than that. Ownership too. Kyle Pitts is up there. Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride. Kyle Pitts rates out as the best value. We're going to plug him in. So now from here, we have a wide receiver, we have a running back, we have to fill, and we have a flex in the defense. In tournaments, man, defenses, they don't fucking matter. They really just don't fucking matter. They're so random. Ideally, though, if you are going to try and guess it, you do want to pick a team that is going to be able to get to a quarterback faster, and you're going to want to use them against a team that gives up a lot of pass rushes very easily, and they can't protect their quarterback. That's a totally separate video, but for this purpose here, we want to just take a look at, maybe the lowest team totals. Maybe that's something we want to consider. Maybe you want to just see what fits. But honestly, I don't fill out defense until the end. I don't even touch it. So from here now, running back, wide receiver, flex. This is where I like to now go to the overall range of outcomes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the specific positions here. I'm going to turn this filter on. And I'm going to select running back, wide receiver, tight end, not the quarterback, because I can only play one quarterback. So now I have everybody here. I'm taking a look at 2x percentage, the 20 plus, right? I'm trying to see who feels the safest that I could play and who at that ownership is going to be, who's going to be good chalk for me to take on. So right now, I'm looking at, we'll do 3x just to be safe. Your league neighbors, Drake London, we already have those guys, right? Ladd McConkey's right there. But you also need raw points. That also is going to matter. Let me throw CD Lamb in first, and let me see what I get from that. So I put him in. I don't have a lot left to spend at these three positions. I'm probably going to have to punt at one of them. So now when I do this, let's just say that, you say, Jason, yeah, you're going to have to punt. Just, let's go with we'll go with the Broncos at Seattle. Questionable offense, questionable defense. Let's just take it. Now we're really surfing for value here. Bring up that 3x again. I see Ladd McConkey here is a cheap option, most likely to 3x. If I even want to go a little bit more, like 2x, I see, Ladd McConkey, Kyle Pitts. Let's throw Ladd McConkey in there. $4,700, 4K running back. Nobody here makes you feel good, right? Right away, I'm saying to myself, I can't build that way. CD Lamb, if I'm taking this route, CD Lamb just makes everything way too expensive. Let's go back now. Drake London, league neighbors, Ladd McConkey, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. We already have him in there. You have Christian Kirk. You have Tank Dell, George Pickens. What is ownership telling me? Josh Reynolds, Gus Edwards, CD Lamb, Tyreek, Charles Jefferson, Bijan. Oh, maybe Jamar Chase even, if we're taking on some ownership. His 2x is, about the same as CD Lamb's. He's $1,100 cheaper, and he's about a 2-point projection difference. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Play some Jamar Chase. For this purpose, we'll throw in Ladd McConkey again. And now at 5,100, Tyjae Spears, Tank Bigsby, Benson Herbert. Still doesn't feel that safe to me. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of second options. I typically, if I'm playing a cash game, unless there's like a supreme alpha wide receiver that's so much better than everybody else that you need to consider them, because if their ceiling game gets them there, like you're toast. I just don't think that's the case so far with these projections. It could change as we get closer. I just don't see that really being the case. So let's take a look at maybe some other values, and let's start with the running back too. I want a little bit more floor from my running back. I do. I want touches. I want people that are going to find the end zone. I want goal line touches. I want targets. I want workhorses. For this purpose, you sort by 2x. I know before we kept seeing Rachaad White. Yeah, Rachaad White has over a 2x. His median's over 2x his salary right now. His ceiling's not bad. Top finish. He's second in top finish. Let's throw him in there. He seems like the second best running back play on the board. He's going up against Washington, who's projected not to be a good defense. Rachaad White's going to have some ownership. Let's play him. Now from here, we just got to fill out the rest. So I know Ladd McConkey was a guy that we kept looking at just because he pops so much as a value. Gives us 6,600 for our flex. You can now go and sort by salary using this little thing right here, and I'll do it on the overall ranges tab so you can see that more. So all the players from 2,000 to 6,600 should populate here. For some reason it's not, so ignore that. That's annoying, but it's okay. We will get that fixed. But regardless here, 6,600, who's the best value that I could fit in? Looks like Chris Olave. 2x here. It's got you can go Aaron Jones, you can go DJ Moore, but based on the projections itself, it's Olave or Joe Mixon. They both have the 2x there. Let's just go Joe Mixon for argument's sake. So that right there is how you would build a cash game lineup by hand. Now, I'm going to show you how you use an optimizer to do it. So if everybody's not subscribed to the solver, I highly recommend you do that. It's very, very important. We're going to get the projections in here loaded, but I just wanted to show everybody how you can build here. So first and foremost, salary, big slate. I set it to 99 always. I just want to make sure that I'm not, I want to make sure that I'm using up as much value as I can. So I like to run a few different things here. If I ran on value here alone, these are not my projections. You have Jared Holes not going to start. You have Pittsburgh, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Drake London, McBride, Dulcich. If you ran by projection, a little different. Herbert, Taylor, Mostert, Downs, Evans, and Njoku, Chubb, Giants. So we need to get some projections in here, and I'll do another video to really show everybody what you do. But me personally, I'm really optimizing by projection value, and then lastly, projected ownership. We don't have it here. I would run by projected ownership first and then see. And this is why this is that important. Let's say hypothetically, I go over, this lineup is going to be the mega chalk, cash game staple. This is what everybody's going to be looking to do. You want to look for maybe one pivot or so that can get you off of, somebody you may view as a little bit more volatile. For me, that's always going to be the wide receiver core because they just have they have such a wide range of outcomes that's where I really want to go pivot the most. So first and foremost, Ladd McConkey is the guy I'm going to look at and say maybe I want to pivot off of him. 5% owned. I'm like, all right, Brian Thomas, the same salary, little less owned. Trust me, on Sundays these are going to look much different. But you have him there at slightly less projection. I can go up a little bit and get somebody closer projection. Maybe that's not the person to pivot off of. Maybe I look at Drake London, Malik Neighbors, and I say, you know what? That almost 7.5% Drake London. Maybe I'm going to play, 5% owned Chris Godwin. Maybe I'm going to play sub 5% owned Cortland Sutton. Overall, you just want to lead yourself to a point where you're making those little 1v1 decisions where you pivot off that you could beat somebody. On Sundays, you will see, and I will definitely run this in a video during week 1 so you can see what I'm talking about. When we run these optimizers, you're going to see the optimal come up, and I guarantee you if you play cash games and you're playing against sharp people, they're going to have about 80% of the same players you do. So the whole point of this is you are not trying to get different. You are taking on as much chalk as you can to limit your volatility, and then you want to make one slight pivot that makes you different than the person you're playing against. Overall, though, that is some hand building with cash games. We're going to have an optimizer session too during the first week. Leading up to it, we'll go over everything you need to know. But yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. And actually, last but not least, I wonder if we have this going right now. I wonder if this is working. So this is a really great tool. I'm going to use this. I'm going to show everybody again week 1 how to really use this. But we have a pivot finder. So when we're talking about those pivots you want to really look for, this is an easy way that you can really take the guesswork out of it. So just to give an example, let's go to who's somebody that we were getting a lot of, like Kyle Pitts. So if I wanted to go to Kyle Pitts and I wanted to be in a 3-point median range of his, a salary within 300, let's say I the specific positions, I don't care about, the flex really. Maybe I want to pivot off from somewhere else. I can simulate all the appropriate pivots here, the appropriate pivots that are going to give you people close to his salary and that have similar medians. So right away, you're looking and you're like, okay, for 300 more, Curtis Samuel is a pivot. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a pivot. Ladd McConkey, probably a better play in a vacuum, 100 more, but a better median, higher ceiling. Same ownership. Overall, this is the way you do it. This is how you go and look and try to figure out, all right, like, who's the one guy I'm going to move off of? Like, one guy that comes to me if I'm playing Kyle Pitts in a flex, honestly, is I'm looking at a guy like a Brian Thomas. Like, that little percentage dip change is really all you need. But I want you to lean on the optimizers, which I'll show you week 1. And then from there, you can then find players here you think are a little bit more volatile, and you could find the pivot off them and see what you could find. It's one of my favorite tools. I love this. I use this all the time, especially in tournaments when you have those super stupid cheap wide receivers that are $4,000, 3,500, and you want to pivot off them. The best tool in the game right here to find that. But that is it for today. I'll be back next with a single entry game series and small field GPP, so people can take a look and see how they progress from cash games to that. And let's win big. But thank you everybody for tuning in. See you later.